Elon Musk just went from building rockets to building the bank that could kill your bank. And it's not a concept anymore, it's live. X Money launched early public access this year. And if you think this is just Venmo with a different logo, you're about to be very wrong. This is a 27-year obsession finally becoming real, and it could be the most consequential financial product since the credit card. Stick with me, because by the end of this video you'll understand exactly what X Money is, why the banks are terrified, and why most people are completely underestimating what's actually being built here. Let's go back to 1999. Elon Musk is 28 years old. He just sold his first company, an internet directory called Zip2, and walked away with $22 million. Most people at 28 would buy a house, maybe a Ferrari. Musk took nearly everything he had and poured it into a single idea. He called it X.com. The vision was insane for its time. One app, every financial need a human being could ever have. Banking, checking, credit cards, investments, loans, instant transfers. Money as entries in a database, cleared in real time, with no middlemen taking a cut and no waiting 3 business days for a payment to settle. He called it the everything store for money. His exact words, "If you fix all the reasons why a consumer would take money out of the system, then it will be the place where all the money is." X.com eventually merged with a little payment startup called Confinity. That startup product was called PayPal. Musk got pushed out by the board, PayPal went public, and the dream was put on ice for 25 years. Fast forward to 2022, Musk buys Twitter for $44 billion, renames it X, and immediately starts telling anyone who will listen that the endgame is not a social media platform. The endgame is the Everything app, the financial super app he tried to build in 1999 but never got to finish. People laughed, advertisers fled, pundits wrote obituaries for the platform, and Musk kept building. In a pitch deck shown to Twitter investors right after the acquisition, there's a line item buried in the financials. Payments revenue of $15 million by 2023. That didn't happen. Then he told workers in October 2023 that a payments feature would launch by end of 2024. That didn't happen either. Then the CEO said it would debut in 2025. Missed again. This is what some people call Elon time. Musk announces something, the timeline slips, and skeptics use it as evidence that the whole thing is vaporware. But here's where they keep getting it wrong. Every single one of those missed deadlines was actually a product being built, the infrastructure being laid, the licenses being filed. And now in 2026, X Money is not a promise anymore. It's in people's hands. So, what exactly is X Money? Let me break it down, because this is where it gets genuinely interesting. At its core, X Money is a financial platform living inside the X app. You fund a wallet from your existing bank account. You can send money to any X user instantly, peer-to-peer, for free. Think Venmo or Zelle, except it's built into a platform with nearly 600 million active users who are already on it every single day. But that's just the surface. Early access users have been reporting a 6% APY on their cash savings. 6%. The national average savings rate in the US right now is around 0.4%. That's not a rounding error, that's 15 times the national average. SoFi, one of the most aggressive neobanks in the country, is struggling to match it. Lending Club can't touch it. Your Chase savings account is paying you essentially nothing. Then there's the debit card, not a plastic card, a metal Visa card, personalized with your X handle. And it comes with 3% cash back on eligible purchases. That's a better cashback rate than most premium credit cards that charge annual fees. And then, this is the part most people are sleeping on. There's an AI concierge built by XAI. Not a basic budgeting tool, an AI that reads your spending history, categorizes your transactions, identifies patterns, and actually talks to you about your money. Financial intelligence baked directly into the product. The banking partner is Cross River Bank, and the payment network is Visa, the world's largest, processing nearly $17 trillion in volume in fiscal 2025. This is not some fly-by-night fintech startup on a shoestring. The infrastructure is real. Now, let's talk about the regulatory picture, because this is where things get complicated and revealing. Getting a financial product like this off the ground in the United States is a regulatory nightmare. You need money transmitter licenses, state by state, across all 50 states. As of right now, X has secured licenses in the vast majority of them. Not all. New York is still outstanding, which is notable because New York has the most stringent financial regulations in the country, but the groundwork is largely done. Senator Elizabeth Warren has already sent a formal letter to Musk demanding answers about stablecoin plans, about data surveillance, about safeguards against fraud. Warren isn't sending letters to things she doesn't consider threats. That letter is, in its own way, a validation. Because here's what Warren sees that most casual observers don't. X Money isn't just a payments app competing with Venmo. It's a platform with access to the social graph, the direct messaging layer, the media consumption habits, and now the financial transaction history of hundreds of millions of people. The data profile that X can build on its users with X Money in the mix is something no traditional bank can come close to replicating. And Musk knows exactly what that data is worth. Now, let's zoom out even further, because the story isn't just about X Money as a product. It's about the political and economic environment that Musk has engineered around it. When Donald Trump returned to the White House, he signed 2 executive orders that have barely been discussed in the context of X Money, but should be. Executive Order 14178 set the framework for federal regulation of digital assets and explicitly prohibited a central bank digital currency. That matters because it clears the field. The US government is not going to build its own digital money infrastructure. That space is open for private players. Executive Order 14247 required the US Treasury to stop issuing paper checks by September 30th, 2025. Every federal disbursement, Social Security payments, tax refunds, vendor payments, government transfers, now has to move electronically, direct deposit, debit cards, digital wallets. Think about what that means. The federal government just mandated that tens of millions of Americans, including elderly and low-income Americans who still rely on paper checks, must now engage with some form of digital payment infrastructure. And Musk, who was running the Department of Government Efficiency before it all fell apart, while these orders were signed, is building exactly that infrastructure. This is not a coincidence, this is positioning. Let's talk about the bigger picture. The number that keeps coming up in serious analysis of X Money is 480 trillion. That's the estimated size of the global financial transaction market: banking, payments, investments, insurance. The total flow of money through the world's financial system. Musk's stated goal, his own words, is for X to be the place where all the money is, the central source of all monetary transactions. That's not a product roadmap, that's a declaration of war on the entire financial system. And here's why you should take it seriously rather than dismiss it as typical Musk grandiosity. He's already done this before, in 2 industries that people said were impossible to disrupt. When SpaceX launched, Boeing and Lockheed laughed. The idea that a startup could build orbital rockets cheaper and more reliably than the aerospace establishment was considered absurd. SpaceX now dominates the global launch market and is valued at $1.77 trillion. When Tesla started, the auto industry said electric vehicles couldn't work at scale, couldn't be profitable, couldn't compete with combustion engines. Tesla didn't just survive, it dragged the entire global auto industry into electrification, kicking and screaming. The banks are making the same mistakes Boeing made. They're looking at X Money as a niche fintech product competing for a slice of the Venmo market. They're not looking at what it becomes in year 3 or year 5 when the AI layer matures. When the stablecoin infrastructure is in place, when X has on board 100 million financial users who are also the platform's most engaged social users. Let's talk about the stablecoin piece specifically, because this is where X Money gets genuinely radical. Warren's letter to Musk specifically flagged the possibility of X issuing its own stablecoin. Musk hasn't confirmed this publicly, but he hasn't denied it either. And the Genesis Act, legislation passed under the Trump administration to regulate stablecoins, includes what Warren described as a suspicious carve-out allowing private commercial companies like X to issue stablecoins. A stablecoin issued by X would be, in essence, X printing its own money. Money that lives natively on the X platform, that can be sent globally with no intermediary, at near zero cost, instantly. No SWIFT transfers, no correspondent banks, no wire fees, no 3-day settlement windows. If 200 million X users hold even a modest balance in an X native stablecoin, Musk is sitting on a reserve that rivals mid-sized sovereign wealth funds. And unlike a sovereign wealth fund, it's deployed in a platform that generates real-time behavioral data on every user. The traditional banking system is built on a 200-year-old architecture. X money at full build-out would simply not need most of it. Here's what I want you to walk away understanding. X money is not a bank. That's actually the point. Banks are regulated entities with capital requirements, reserve ratios, compliance costs, and legacy infrastructure that was built before the internet existed. X money is a financial platform that leverages existing banking infrastructure, FDIC-insured deposits through Cross River, while keeping the user relationship, the data, and the value entirely inside X. It's the same playbook WeChat ran in China. WeChat Pay didn't kill the Chinese banks, it just made itself indispensable, sitting between the banks and the customers, capturing the transaction layer and the data layer simultaneously. Tencent, WeChat's parent company, handed early investors roughly a 20-fold return as mobile banking took hold. The difference is that Musk has more users than WeChat started with, a more permissive regulatory environment, a direct line to the White House, and considerably more audacity. There's a real risk here too, and I'm not going to gloss over it. X Money still doesn't have a New York money transmitter license. The terms and conditions haven't been fully disclosed. Beta users currently have FDIC insurance on their funds, but the safety architecture for the full rollout is not transparent. There are serious unanswered questions about what happens to your wallet if your X account gets suspended or banned. And X has a track record of suspending accounts without warning. Senator Warren's concerns about data surveillance are not paranoid. A company that knows your political opinions, your media consumption, your social graph, and your complete financial transaction history has a data profile on you that is, frankly, unprecedented in the private sector. And then there's Elon Time. The man promised a payments feature by the end of 2023. It's mid-2026. Whether that's a sign of the complexity of building this or a pattern of over-promising is a question every potential user should sit with. But zoom back out one more time, because the most important thing to understanding about X money isn't what it is today. It's the trajectory. In 1999, a 28-year-old Elon Musk had a vision of a single platform where all financial transactions would eventually live. He got within arm's reach of it, got pushed out, and spent 25 years building the credibility, the capital, and the political influence to try again. He bought the platform, he built the AI, he secured the Visa partnership, he got the banking licenses, he positioned himself politically, he watched the government mandate digital payments, and now he's in early access, gradually widening, moving methodically towards something that, if it works, doesn't just compete with your bank, it makes your bank irrelevant. Whether you trust Musk or not, whether you're a fan or a skeptic, that's a story worth paying attention to. Because the last person who said they were going to turn X.com into the central place where all money lives got laughed out of the room, and then went and built Tesla and SpaceX. That's it for today. If you found this useful, subscribe. We cover the stories that actually matter before they're everywhere. And I'll see you in the next one.